obviously going for Tesco, it must be.
Funding campaign. It's called Tesco Bucket, so it's no guarantee that I will get it. However, if I put a very small target and it looks successful, they put me in mentorship with the guy from Brewdog, and then they mentor me to be able to scale up a bit and eventually come up and sell to Tesco. It's like an early sales. You know, crowdfunding works as a early sales thing. So you buy a product that doesn't exist. So with this case, they will be buying it through Tesco's website, and then when it's done, it will be like a Tesco sale. So if it's successful, Tesco is just cleaning their hands and saying, if it's successful, we take it. If it's not, but to run a crowdfunding campaign, to be successful, you have to put money. It's not free.
Absolutely, because you've got to have a media.
You have to have, you know, all the advertisement and stuff. That's not free. And at the moment, I'm getting £5,000 from the Department of International Trade to expand on my international market. So
for the drinks or for the raw materials?
For whatever I want to do.
Okay.
But it has to be international market. So I can't use that money for a campaign in the UK. However, I could do Tesco International, I don't know. So I am thinking where the money is for me, the funding available is overseas. Shall I just focus on the easy part and then do this afterwards, or should I do both, or what? I don't know. Sometimes I want to just run away and don't do anything.
I think we've all been there, so don't worry. I think what's you create things, don't you, in business, and you think, oh my God, will it ever work? I think that's fair. Right.
Well, you are the guy with the answers.
No, I haven't. No, I've got no answers. I've only got questions. I think this is really interesting, but I can't help feeling that the big growth one is going to be Tesco.
You say that, but I've been to Dubai with this, and I had 6 supermarkets there wanting to buy this.
Really?
It's not just one. And Tesco is called, it's got another name in Dubai, but they were very keen. So
could you contact Tesco, put you in touch with other Tesco's internationally, and then you can use that funding for that?
My feeling is, once you are selling to a supermarket overseas, then here they will go like, oh, what's that? Whereas now it's difficult even to get a hearing. That's what I have found. Because after I went to Dubai and I was like, all the supermarkets were interested, then I came back to the UK and more people finding me and asking me for the product. Then I went to Bratislava, and I already there, because in those markets I am a UK business. So for them it's like, oh, this is a UK product, interesting, straight away in, welcome here. You know, I even had a chef cooking with panela, and it was amazing, like a master chef. And it's like, welcome UK business. Whereas here, it's too many.
I think that's a strange fact. That, I mean, I find that in consultancy. I don't know you found that in your world. But it's a strange thing that perceptions abroad of British business is actually really quite different to the way we see it. Because we just see the problems. But I think a lot of other countries abroad think differently, a bit like we think of the Germans. The Germans get organised, they're probably not really, you know?
No, but it's interesting because going with my business to another part of the world is like easy doors, you know. I get hearing easily. I just thought that nobody's a prophet in their own land. Like this product in Colombia, nobody interested. Took it to the UK, now in Colombia people are like, oh my God, you're doing this amazing thing. Then UK business, I go and sell it overseas and then come back to the UK, it's like, oh, actually we want some more. Because people are very People are no leaders. I don't know why people are so frightened of taking something new. People want to see that it already were successful somewhere else. It's very bizarre.
What's this written in? Do you know? Shall I buy it?
Was that written in? What do you mean?
No, what is the software?
It's called, well, just the shop. All the website my sister coded from scratch, so it's just hosted in a server that we pay.
Is it WordPress or?
No, it's not a platform, it's the server that we...
Self-coded.
Self-coded, yeah. But the shop is from Equi. Just the shop, so the shop is just a plug-in thing that she had it on.
And how many of these things do you sell a day?
A day.
A week or
no,
month?
just maybe sometimes I sell 1 or 2 or 3 a day, but it's not like I sell 100.
Yeah.
Online is not it's just for people to be able to buy it, but it's not that I am trying to sell all my things in there. Because for me it's easier to sell to a shop and sell a box of 50.
Yeah. Can I just ask you about the Dubai thing then again? So,
Yeah.
So if you're selling, you're saying to me that you can sell this in Dubai, what's stopping you?
Price. Because negotiating with these people is a nightmare. But I am on it.
Because it
So
strikes.
they want to buy, like, one supermarket wants to buy the container, 20 feet container. You don't know with these people if they're just asking that to get the best price and then they say, oh no, we just want 3 pallets. Who knows? But negotiating price is the killer. These people are just very hard on price, which is difficult.
I know, just the man. Good. He'd help you through that. Because he's done that himself.
Selling to Dubai.
Not necessarily to Dubai, but you know, cutthroat sales and negotiation is what he does best.
It's so difficult. Well, I just left it, so like, this is the price, think about it. Because I can't kill my farmers either, like, you know. So it could be nothing, it could be just like...
And also you're relying on them to some extent on their word until you've got a firm contract. You can't do anything until you've got your firm contract. Because I would just not trust anybody. You know, you can't start ordering from your suppliers until you know for sure that they have got the money.
You need a down payment, wouldn't you?
Yes, yeah. And I know Glyn works because he works in the areas of building materials. He works his whole business on what's called a pro forma basis. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, like paying up front. Or...
Yeah, basically, yeah. So, as the pro forma acts as the invoice in effect.
Yeah.
Okay. So he will not instigate anything until he has a pro forma invoice. Okay. And therefore he's guaranteed the cash.
Problem is supermarkets are a little bit cheeky and they are well known for not doing these things like you're saying.
Yeah. But that's how he guarantees it. And what he does is, as soon as the pro forma invoice, let's just say a pro forma invoice came in for £10,000, right? That comes into his company and it's like an invoice but isn't being paid straight away, right? But it can be paid and it's guaranteed. And then what happens is that in order to get his suppliers to supply, he has to, of course, spend money to get the supply, okay? So what he does is he borrows against the pro forma invoice.
Like factoring, yeah.
Factoring, yeah. So.
But I solved that problem already and that's what was stopping me and now it's not. I think I spoke to you about this before. With my partner in Colombia, we know each other long time ago, and he's working with Panel and he works with lot of farmers, and he collects the panela. He can package it for me, look after all the produce and the packaging and everything in Colombia, the logistics and everything. So he said, because I say to him, I'm really worried that I am getting all this interest and I'm not going to have the money to go and buy this stuff to be able to have stock and then sell. He said, no, don't worry. If we do like a joint venture, I could put all the money that you need to create the product, to package it, to send it, and then when they pay, we take away all the costs of what costs me as well, and what costs him, including marketing and all the meetings and all this stuff, and we just share the profits. So I thought that could be a way to go, because otherwise I won't be able to scale. He won't be able to sell overseas, and I won't be able to scale. So I thought that could be the solution. And when I did that agreement is when I thought, okay, I actually can do this.
How far have you, what's your relationship with your supplier here? Is that a good solid relationship that you can trust?
Yeah. Well, we grew up together. We were very good
okay,
friends.
so it's a personal, so right, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes it far better.
Yeah. We are very good friends, and we were friends since we were kids, but I moved away and I didn't even know he was working with Panela until I realized, and then we're like, oh, well, let's do this together and let's go and open new markets and stuff, and you look after the stuff in Colombia.
Because it's an ideal relationship, and so you're not holding stock.
No.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, that's almost like at an extreme level, it just becomes a money-making machine, because you're not even holding stock. You're just basically selling and sending the responsibility to your supplier to send it out.
I will hold some stock because I need to
Yes,
keep my.
sorry, yeah. I don't mean.
No big.
But for the markets you're selling his product to,
Yeah.
you're not holding stock.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Ideal.
And
If he's willing to do it.
Yeah. So then is when I started doing the idea of the sachets, because making those sachets here in the UK is very expensive. So paneles are very expensive. You can't compete with sugar, and I want the coffee shops to have it to use instead of sugar. And interest for that was very prominent in Dubai as well, for distributors, for the big hotels, the 5-star hotels. They were like, oh, can you do this in sachets? And I was like, yes, but I didn't, of course, but I just say yes.
Can you sell enough sachets? Because what strikes me about that is your supplier in Colombia able to cut enough profit, because he's got to hold the stock.
They hold stock, like they have big warehouses because they already sell panela to South Korea and other places, and they sell other products as well. They sell bananas, fruits, all these sort of things. So they, holding this. And also the panela, because it's producing very small farms, he kind of collects it when it's ordered, like, I don't know, but I don't think it will be a problem.
Yeah, okay, that's really interesting that. So, we've moved from Tesco as a possible jump and leap of faith to Dubai with the joint venture.
Yes, and it's not just Dubai.
No, I understand, but I just said Dubai because it's sort of convenient. But actually, the Dubai type idea, which is your customer, using a joint venture so that your supplier supplies to Dubai. But of course, you would need a fairly big set of orders to make it worth a joint venture.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So that might be your big leap of faith, your big project.
Yeah.
Do you think so?
Well, yes, it is, and I just don't know if I'm making. How do you know if you're making the right decisions or not when it's just you on your own? You make all the decisions yourself. How do you know that's the right decision?
The money keeps going up.
Well, I think that's one way to tell. But sometimes you have to have a leap of faith, and you're designing a business, aren't you? you're designing a business, which it might not work, but it might work. But the risk is quite low, I think.
Calculate your gambles.
Yeah.
Try and weigh up your odds.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
Morning.
Yeah. So we've been doing some cleaning. We're doing panella, okay?
Oh, nice.
And we'll come to your business in a few moments, okay? But on this session. Yeah, this session is all about the big leap of faith. You know?
That I really want scaling up.
That's
I
exactly what
didn't
we're
create
after.
this business for being just selling to coffee shops and no. I want this business to be big. I'm already doing sales in Switzerland, in Edinburgh, in Czech Republic, I'm doing negotiations with Slovakia. My sister moved to Australia and we're working on how to do something there as well, even if it's little bits, you know, but I didn't create this business to be in Sheffield.
The other thing is that strikes me is that this is great, but it's not going to make it's not big enough.
What, the website?
Well, you know, selling for £7 one bag,
No.
you know what I mean?
That's just the front because
That's exactly,
people go
exactly.
online and they go to my Instagram.
It might give you a little bit of income, but it's not the big thing.
No.
You know, the big thing is somewhere else, and that's what I'm searching for. But my gut feel from what you've said, and it's only based on a conversation, is, and I call it Dubai, and the franchise.
Supermarket.
Sorry, the joint venture.
Yeah. For me, I think I will make money or I will achieve what I want to achieve when panela is available in supermarkets as a mainstream sugar alternative and it's everywhere. That's what I
Yeah, I would probably agree with you. And you know, before you talked about this and made me aware of it, I wasn't aware of this as a product because I'm from Britain and we don't use this, generally speaking. But having said that, having said that, it sounds like you have to educate your markets, and that's hard too. So you're in a space that's really quite hard. But from the conversation that I can hear, the big opportunity is with that joint venture. So you become your customers are key and king, and you can't let that information to your suppliers out if you can help it. But because they'll supply direct if they can, you know.
Well, they could, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a risk.
It is a risk. But if you could establish yourself as somebody who can make those or help those customers, and it goes through an invoicing system, but they're supplied by through your joint venture, that could work very well as a business. And I seriously would consider, if I can ask him, to go see this guy called Glyn, because that's very much the model that he's created in the building trade, which might actually, he works on joint ventures with his suppliers. I know he's got suppliers in Poland, and he's got a joint venture agreement to hold and make that work, and then he's supplying to all sorts of different places. In his case, places like, you know, a building centre type place, you know, I don't know what they're called, Keyline or something, you know. So if you want me to, I'll ask him to tell you how he does his business. So you could go down and see him. He's in Shropshire. Okay. So, but it's a model that you could almost copy, but for this type of product. But for me, that is quite nice to have.
Oh yeah, and I go Instagram and Twitter because it's a brand.
But the big thing is something different. You know, to me, that's what I think that joint venture is all about. And if you could get that to work over the next couple of months or something, you know, to see if you could get that to work, doing an evaluation, and you ask the question, how do I know it's the right thing to do? Nobody can tell you the answer, unfortunately.
Yes, Do you think that this is the right way to go like that? And then, because obviously when you are presenting a product like this to a supermarket, for example, it's always good to have other products down the line. And that's where my drinks kind of come into the portfolio, if you like, of things that are...
Your company in Colombia will sell it in the raw material. They don't sell it in drinks?
No.
Okay.
The drinks are my creation,
okay.
if you like.
Yeah. So you've got two different product areas. One is the supply of the raw material. I find that if you want my honest truth, is that when I went to this part of the website, I wasn't sure what those three things were. They look exactly the same to me.
Yeah.
Two are drinks and one's the raw material. And the raw material has a different market to the drinks. So maybe separating the two out and being more clear about that.
Yeah.
That was just my reaction.
You're right.
You know.
The only reason people know about the drinks is because they have gone into my Instagram or Twitter account and they have seen the actual drinks. But yeah, you're right. And I'm rebranding Panela to be a bit more mainstream.
Yeah.
And that's gonna go.
So, well, I mean, the changing the website's quite easy. It wouldn't take too long to do.
Yeah, it's just the branding itself.
Yeah, but the markets are different from the left-hand side to the two on the right-hand side, and the product is very, very different. And I think it needs differentiating on the website. That's just a very trivial point in a sense. But so for me, the drinks side and the raw materials side are two very different things, and we're going to have to work on a plan for both. But for today, I think we should work on the plan that you're going to have a joint venture with your colleague in Colombia, and you're going to have a go at setting the structure up such that you can actually try and get real growth going in 3 to 6 months' time. You know. But you need to get the system in place, the joint venture agreement and all the structures, the pro formas and the information that he needs, you know, and then you've got your customer side to make sure that they know what they can order, how they can order it, what size and what quantities, and the agreements that have to sit in place. And then you need to understand very thoroughly the pro forma structure, because you can't take risks.
And that's when I die as well.
Yeah. But that's what, you know, we're on the Catalyst program here at the moment. We're looking for the big one, right? The thing that might work, that will take you from a business that you're trying to maintain and structure in here. And for Toby, I feel that you're...
Hugo.
Sorry. Hugo, sorry. I think what yours is a geographical expansion, and yours is with this joint venture, because that's a golden opportunity. And many businesses look for where the supplier is holding the stock. You know, it's a great opportunity if you can make it work. But there are structures in there that you need to put together. You know. And I just want to make sure...
So maybe I forget the Tesco thing for now.
Well, not necessarily, but I think for today, let's concentrate on one thing. Because I think we're in danger of trying to go so many different things, it gets too confusing. Let's deal with the Tesco one tomorrow, or another day. But let's concentrate on how we would get that joint venture to work, and what structures and systems you would need to have into place. And that question is not something we can probably answer in one day anyway. We'll have to do some research. Like, for example, how would you manage your customers, and what contracts would you expect to see? Because they need to be able to order the stuff, and you know that you will get the money, right? Before you can start talking to your suppliers. So immediately there's a system in place to some extent. The order comes in, the contract with the supplier has to be in place. You have to work it on a pro forma basis, I think. I'm only guessing here. So you've got a pro forma system right in the middle of it. And then you order online, order from your supplier, right? And that supplier has a contract as well. And that information about your customer has to be very, very scant as much as possible, because you don't want your, even if you know the guy in Colombia, if he wants to sell direct and make a bit more money in the long term, I don't want him to be tempted to do that.
Yeah, but how can they don't know each other if they're gonna be sending the...
That's the problem.
He will send the product to the address. How is he not gonna know? It's difficult.
That's the difficult, but you can see why I'm being cautious about that.
Yeah.
Because you know, he'll supply to you for 6 months, and then 6 months later he said, well, actually there's a profit.
Cut the middleman out.
Yeah, you cut the middle out. Yeah, the person who's actually done the work to open up the doors. You know, so you need an agreement.
That agreement won't stop you.
No. Well, you need at least an agreement, and you need to have
a. Chase him up when he's damaged already.
Exactly. Yeah. You never get the cash out. You know?
The thing is, because it's my brand.
Yeah.
They can't keep using my brand.
No, he's going to sell his own brand.
Absolutely, but so you'll need to, certainly for a start, protect your brand. So you need to make sure you trademark it, you know. And how do you do that? So that is part of your project, in a way, trademarking your brand.
Yeah, the brand, but you can always sell on another brand. So
oh yes, exactly.
Well, you can sell it wholesale.
Yeah. So we've got to make
the only way is to hold it in a wholesale, send it to some other logistic place, and distribute from there.
That won't be viable because I don't want to pay to bring a container full of vanilla to the UK, pay for storage, and then sell it to
that's why ideally you should be selling it direct, him selling it direct, because you're not holding stock. As soon as you hold stock, it's a nightmare, because you need storage space, things go off or whatever, you know, and then you're tying up a lot of capital in your storage. So if you can avoid that at all possible, ideal.
So that's the risk then?
That's the risk, yeah.
Well, there is a risk. It's always a risk.
There will be, you know, but what we're trying to find is the best solution and the best protection to make you work, okay? So there's quite a lot of investigation to do and understanding. I always think of it like this, and I don't know if this helps at all, but I always think of it like a system, right? You've got to have all the pieces in place to make the whole thing work. So what is the design of the system? You know, and I'm not sure what that design actually needs to be, but that is the investigation we've got to put into place. And that's how I would like to approach it. And I'm more than happy to approach Glyn and or other people from that company, so that he can help you see how the system needs to work.
How good is his English? How good is it?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. Oh, that's good.
That's a bonus, because he might need you to do all the communications and stuff like that.
No, that's a main reason why as well.
You have a few years.
The other thing is that on the customer side, just to protect yourself, on the customer side, you might have an agreement with the customer that they will be buying from you alone.
Like an exclusive agreement.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if
maybe for a year or two.
Yeah, or an interim period of 3 years or something like this. To say, okay, your product, the Pura Panella, is going to be the supply to you, right? So that's stopping him from going direct.
Yeah.
But it's not even just him, because I mean, if he's not so clued up on the whole communication and has the
wherewithal,
is what's stopping the customer, like me, for trying to get a cheaper price.
Yes.
If they know where it's coming from, especially on the invoices. So a lot of people been white labeling now. So it depends, and you have to see how he packages it as well. So they can't directly trace it back. Like address it. I don't know how.
Yeah, but the regulations say that it has to say where it has been packed.
Oh, because it's coming directly.
I only liken it a little bit to the 3D printing business for a second, just because what we're trying to do more and more now is to get the suppliers to package everything up for us ready.
Oh, with your own branding and everything?
Yeah, with our branding.
Yeah. Can you get like an address there? like a, you know, like where you can have like just a business address.
Yeah.
So it could be shipped from that address, but it's not really an actual premises. Kind of thing.
No reason why not.
So you have it registered there, your brand and your address, your whole business registered here. So it's coming from your brand.
Yeah, well, I have to look at the legislation, how the labels will have to work with something like that.
Okay, so we've got two projects now. One is the geographical development, and I'm going to ask you to. I mean, one of the tasks that I was wanting
Use
to.
his address as well, actually. We use the same address, but like if you can get like a virtual number for Colombia, then you use that number. So if they're contacting you really.
Yeah. Yeah, that would
Like
be.
a Colombian virtual number. No, it's easy to do like just little stuff like that. It won't knock everyone out. But I kind of had the same situation-ish, and I didn't go through with it because I couldn't figure out what would stop them from the factory from cutting me out, and what would stop if I got a big client like Tesco's or whatever. What would stop them from cutting me out? Because the factory was already an established company. They were supplying to the multiples already. I was just trying to take it to Europe. But I'm thinking, when I go to Europe and do all this hard work, what's going to stop them from cutting me out after I've already got the customers?
Yeah, and they will. I'm sure that if when there's money involved somehow.
But I don't know, because it's
You've
still
got to
like
be careful.
3 years on. They haven't gone to Europe
Okay.
yet.
Yeah,
They're
probably.
Tesco's, Morris and everything for
There
years
is
now.
one thing that we need to consider, which is the brand. So I am the image of the brand. I work with my customers to go and do the, you know, the introduction of the product, if you like. It's not the same if you put panela in Colombia, it's in these plastic bags on solid blocks. It's not appealing to anyone. That's why
but
panela
it doesn't
hasn't
take-
made
yeah,
it
but as
to
soon as they
the-
see you doing it, it doesn't take a week for them to do that.
to create a different,
Yeah.
another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then it won't be a UK company anymore. It won't be in the supermarket as a
No, but somebody with more money. Sorry.
somebody with more money. Yeah, that's the risk, you know, that they can do that. It's nothing to
Well,
stop that from happening. But I created this business because I wanted to increase the demand for panela. So I believe that the more demand for panela in the world, the more positive impact in my country, Colombia.
yeah.
So if panela comes from Colombia, if it's not sold through me, I don't mind. As long as panela is well known around the world,
Okay.
the more demand it is, we all gonna be able to sell
Bigger
panela.
market, okay.
You know,
What's
bigger
the
market.
difference? What's the advantages of this versus normal sugar that I buy in the supermarket?
I'll tell you that later because I've been taking all the time and I think we need to look at your business.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, what we're going to do in a few moments is actually start planning out what actions we need to take
Yeah.
and in what order. And there will be things that you don't know at this point in time. So obviously, if we don't know something, we need to find out. You know. And my view is that is an iterative process. It's what I did with the crowdfunding property business. We go into it, we find something out, and then we realise that we didn't know a whole raft of things, and we need to find them out. You know,
Yeah.
and then we go back, and it takes a bit of time until we know exactly how it's going to work. That's how I see it, because you're almost designing a system to make it all work. Okay, and that's what this session is meant to be. It's meant to be bringing together the things that we've been looking at all through the catalyst, and now we're trying to really try and do that design work. Okay, so I sense that we've got a design of the potential area that's going to make your business grow. Right, I think we've got something that you've thought of already that's going to make your business grow, and I'd like to try and embellish and look at how that is going to work. Okay. Now, I'm aware that we've sort of been discussing for quite some time already, and it might be good to get started on those two,
Yeah.
right? And you two could work together on this. But I am also conscious that I'd like to find what that is. So I don't mind. Do you want to be part of our conversation, or all three of you with the final business, or do you want to get on?
I don't mind hearing about the final business.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Should we do that?
And then we all get on.
Yeah, and they all get on, and then try and structure it, and then debate what you don't know in order to know what you need to find out.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. Okay. Should we have a look at yours then? Okay.
Oh, hi.
Hiya. Should we have a look at your business now?
Maybe
And then we'll-
that chair and this one.
And then we'll do the actions. Okay.
Thanks.
Now then, as I understand it,
Would you like coffee or tea?
Coffee, please.
Milk.
your business is Caribbean food takeaway at this point in time.
At this point,
Exactly. Now,
I'm fed up.
yeah, and we want to find the growth in it.
Yeah.
Where is it that we're going to make it spiral into something bigger?
Yeah.
You know. So at this point in time, it's a takeaway in somewhere towards Hillsborough. I haven't been there yet. So where do you think the product is in the future?
There's a trend now for ready meals. So I think that's where I have a little leeway, like especially in this area, north of England. And so there's ready meals, there's the healthy side of the ready meals. There's also me supplying, doing business to business. So I'm looking now, because I really, cash flow is zero now. Zero.
Don't worry, we've all been there.
I need to make some money fast. Yeah. So I've looked at supply line. There's lots of pizza takeaways in Sheffield. They're not doing so well. And everybody's struggling a bit. And I'm thinking the food, Caribbean food is on the up, like the cuisine itself is no more aware and it's growing, similar to like Mexican food, like growing up there. So I'm thinking maybe I could logistically wise for me as a takeaway now, I can't supply, even Sheffield is small, I can't supply everything. Right? And part of the problem with Caribbean takeaways, we're not quite there like the Chinese and the Indian in terms of deliveries. And the online partners take so much money, it's crazy. Right? And we obviously not.
Who are the online partners?
Just Eat, Hungry House, which is the same now. The delivery I'm not doing yet because we're not in that area. There's like Uber Eats, I'm not there. They're new. Deliveroo and
Okay, so these online partners allow you to advertise your stuff online,
for commission.
and then they deliver it.
No,
Okay.
Deliveroo delivers.
Okay.
Just Eat doesn't.
Okay.
You have to pay your own delivery driver, and that's another headache. It's stuff that you don't know. It's I don't know what my slow days are, because it varies, and it varies depends on what's happening socially, everything, weather-wise, everything. The whole that, and it also it depends on the week. Like this week is a kind of a slow week, but you never know. You might get a good day. I have to have my driver sitting there, just in case. Because I'll have one driver and thinking, oh, Tuesdays are not busy. Then it's spinning for whatever reason.
So prediction is a very problem for you.
Especially now, yeah.
So you can get delivery specialists, a company that delivers.
No, not in my area.
So
If I was
Uber
in
Eats,
this area, Deliveroo.
Deliveroo.
but Uber Eats could bring the solution to your problem because they can't.
Oh?
Uber Eats.
Yes, but they're not so big in Sheffield yet. In London, I have all of them to work with, but in Sheffield, they're not all over the place. It's quite new. So, yeah. But anyway, still don't think there's enough growth in takeaways at this point in
Okay, so that's not the solution.
That's not the solution anyway. So, and I'm not opening until 1 o'clock. I'll close at 10. I seriously don't want to have a business that, you know.
It's also very intense work, I would have thought.
Which is why I'm always, I'm not awake at this time.
Production side is heavy in terms of manpower and expertise and stuff like this, and so expanding on that would have a disadvantage because you even if you expanded quite a lot,
you have to be like franchising
you'd be working like nothing on earth.
That's what I say now. Like, this is working like I can't do this. So anyway,
can I just ask you about the franchise? Have you thought about this?
In America it works, in England it's just
very difficult.
Yeah,
and especially if you haven't got a name.
Yeah, and even that it's not quite there yet.
No.
For the volume's not there yet, especially in this part. So with the pizza shop and the kebab shop kind of carrying the product as additional product, it will reach the villages, like all the little areas.
Yeah.
It will reach that. So, but they wouldn't listen to me. They're owned by like lots of Muslim men, and they're very clannish. They're all friends, they all know each other. It's like a network, and they would not just easily let a woman in like that. And they're all copycats. If I can get some to take it, then they'll catch on. So I kind of need the barrier to entry is difficult. So anyway, my friend's coming down. Hopefully, I have a friend who's trying. He's gonna try and help me. He got me one. And it's today.
One what?
One takeaway to take it.
Okay.
And it's today. I need like 3, then I need 5.
So his plan is, and your plan is, then to sell to other takeaways.
Yeah. So, but I still haven't worked out. Like now, I may be promising them. Okay, they maybe put it on their Just Eat websites and stuff, but they're also they're very like hesitant to take it because they don't know it, right? So I'm now maybe trying to promise them all kind of things to reassure them. Like I will give you it would be on a consignment basis, and I will, just like sandwiches work. You bring them, and what doesn't sell, you take them back because it's perishable food. You know, take them up 2-3 days after or something like that. So I don't mind that. That's fine. Because I know it will sell. Then, because I'll give them quantities that I know that they will sell. And the return shouldn't be really high. But how do I get the word? There's going to be some who don't want to mix it with their own business. They want to try it, but they don't really want to actually put it there to maybe confuse their customers or whatever.
Well, they've got all sorts of quality control issues, haven't they? You know.
Yeah.
You can imagine them being a bit hesitant.
Yeah.
And wait a minute, I'm selling somebody else's stuff through my shop or whatever. Yeah. Is there enough cut for me to make this work?
There is enough.
Is there?
Even nearly 100% markup on it without doing nothing, just reheat it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So and I'm not branding it.
Okay.
Because I don't want to put in people's mind that it's not fresh, so I'm not gonna brand it. So yet.
Okay, so they provide the brand. Okay.
No, because it goes unbranded.
Yeah.
Like normally when you order a curry, it comes unbranded.
Yeah. Okay.
So it still gives people that takeaway market, still have that illusion that it's coming from their kitchen.
Yeah.
So I won't brand it. And most of the stuff
can it be frozen?
Yeah.
It could be frozen, so it could be distributed.
Yeah.
As a
so it could be so I could still use maybe even the sweet shops as a branded product, and eventually use when I get enough for them to take it, go through the cash and carry and sell it that way. But it wouldn't be individually branded, I think, still.
Yeah, okay.
It would just be like in boxes.
I remember having 3 different conversations with you in the past. One was to focus in on events.
Mm-hmm.
One was to focus in on the products as a sort of maybe the specialist products. You know, this is the Caribbean mix.
Mm-hmm. That's going to take me a bit more time to work on because that's not my area. and I don't know the mix. I'm still trying to find. I have my own special mix for the food I have, but I need some. I need to
just for clarification for you guys, the conversation went like this: that we could either concentrate on events, like there's a big wedding and they want a Caribbean specialist to provide the food.
Yeah.
Right. The second one was about products, particularly the spice hot stuff that you might
I
buy.
don't see that much of a market here because I do sell that now, and it's
a Caribbean sort of peppery to the.
It's hard. It's a saturated market.
Yeah.
So all these Chinese, all these Indians, all these.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's so many.
Many of them, yeah. And then the third conversation I remember having with you was about you and the brand and building it as a brand and including the recipe book type thing. And these are the specialists, you know, and come to me because I'm the iconic figure.
Which I see like online, I will get more growth and quicker if I had that through to ready meals. I could tie all that into that ready meals business. And you know,
Jamie Oliver of Caribbean Food, aren't you?
Pretty much.
That's how I see it.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
that's where I'm going with the ready meals. I've started working.
Because you can use your kitchen to work on preparing this without having to be there waiting for people to order. You use your premises to make this food and you sell it on retail in branded boxes. It could be just the box with the stickers with your brand or your face there, and I start selling it for retail.
For retail? When you say retail? Oh, you're into houses and stuff like that, so the ready meals?
No, I see it more like in shops.
Oh, you mean like food shops? Like
Retail shops, like you could aim for supermarkets at the end, but
yeah, I wouldn't go for. I'm not a fan of multiples, like because the margins are so tiny. I would have to have
well, you could sell in coffee shops.
And there's people doing it, and I don't think it's that great.
No.
It's the margins are so tiny, and I just couldn't absorb that cost. Not in time now.
There's a lot of street food events now. Could you
yes.
Yeah, that's where I'm coming from. I don't want to do that anymore. It's not that profitable with the weather. The weather is the big risk. I've done that. That's that's my background. Events. I've done it all over the world.
But what I think Hugo was saying, was street food has become very trendy suddenly.
And that's why I've come out of it.
Right. Okay. But sorry, I distinguished between street food and events.
Yeah, you were talking about weddings and parties and stuff. Yeah, but the street food, that's where I used to be.
Okay.
And it's now too trendy.
Okay. Maybe we were just backward in Sheffield. So it took us a while to have to catch up.
I used to
because you're from London, really, aren't you?
Yeah, and I've done events all over Europe. And I used to be like the only Caribbean person.
Yeah.
Now there's loads. Every event in Sheffield have a Caribbean stand. I don't even know them. It's going on. It's
so
there,
competition
ready.
is massive.
It's already there. I'm not bringing no revolution to Sheffield anymore.
Yeah.
But that's a good thing, because the fact that there are more means that the market is bigger, more opportunities for you. People know about it.
People know about it a bit, but Sheffield is still.
Can I ask you about your location? Because I sense that your location is a problem.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, if you were on London Road, it might be completely different.
But it's just the higher cost. Like I come to park here. London costs us like 20 minutes downstairs trying to find a good parking. I couldn't.
Okay, I mean, no, but my point is this.
Prices are so much different.
When I went into a street food restaurant there on London Road, it was jam-packed. It was absolutely full.
It's a Jamaican place though.
It wasn't. This was I think it was a Mexican actually.
Oh, the yellow.
I forgot which one it was, but you know, you go up and there's so many of them, it just wouldn't really. But my point was that I don't know how much money they're turning over, but it must be thousands a night.
Oh yeah.
You know. So.
Street food chef.
It was one of them. Yeah.
It's like yellow and red logo in it. Like wooden.
I can't remember which one I went in. It was just.
But all of them are full. You pay a bit more rent, but you are.
If you're full, it doesn't matter. If your turnover is £10,000 a night, you know.
I'm looking into that. I'm looking into it, like to come. Yeah.
But the
There's
problem
still
is
so many takeaways.
you got a leasing with that thing, so you can't really.
How long's the lease?
3 years.
That's why we were thinking last time to use or do something with the premises to make them work for her.
But you could keep that premises open, just turning over enough to make it work, and then look at opening another one somewhere else, which is a real street food type. Type. You know, this is Caribbean food for the populace. You know, the Volkswagen of Caribbean food.
If I can get into these pizza places and stuff, then I know how much of an attraction it is, how it's picking up. Then I know if I need to commit again to that, to see how big the market really is, because the takeaway market is saturated now. It's slowed down a bit.
I took some work colleagues into this place on London Road, and there was about 6 of us or something like this. We all spent, 20 quid or something like this. We were in there for about an hour and a half or something like this.
Was it on the corner, Amigos?
It wasn't that one, but it was very near there.
Oh, right.
And it was really popular. Drinks that
Okay.
And I remember
so
thinking.
it's not really a takeaway.
No, it's not a takeaway.
Right, that's something I'm thinking.
More of a street food sort of like you get in there,
no, more
chill
like,
out.
No, not say street food, because street food is more like the takeaway. Street food is meant to just,
Yeah, but that's
so
what
it's
it's
more like
marketing.
a restaurant bar,
Yeah.
Yes. So it's more. I find
more
it
of a bit of a restaurant, but more cafe type restaurant.
more casual dining. Yeah.
Quick, in and out.
I find that's more on trend. It's just not this crappy takeaway charity. People are tired of that, and the demographics here that spending the students. So it has to be it's not too expensive. So it's casual dining, but they're spending time. You have to have the premises where you can have a drink, and drink is where you make the money.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
but that means you've got to get a license as well.
Yes.
I don't know how easy that is.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
But do you know how the business model of street food chef is? Street food chefs have grown loads in the last few years, and their model is they prepare all the food in a central kitchen, and then in the morning they distribute to all the outlets. So the outlets are very small, they don't have big kitchens. They focus more on the sitting area kind of thing to allow people to come and whatever. But they don't make the food in there. They have all the things, and then they put your taco and your salsa.
Which is what I want to do, as I said, with the pizza shop. I don't want to I don't want to know where leases and stuff. I just have one kitchen and sell to all these people. I just need 3 to make money.
3.
So I don't want to have premises and the headache of the staff and all that. I by myself I can't do that.
But you don't want to sell to retail?
No.
So we're back with the brand then. You've got to get the brand has got to be you, and you're selling through your brand.
Yes, but then that's the problem. These takeaways, they're not going to readily accept me.
No,
as a woman.
Well, in that case, we can't go down that route. If you think that's the case,
then I have to get a salesperson. At the moment, I'm working through a friend of a friend.
But what's the point of developing a brand if she doesn't want to sell in retail? Just to be in a faceless.
The reason why I said that, and apologies,
it's business to business.
Yeah, it's a business to business, and there's got to be a reason for them wanting you.
Yeah, because as I said, the market is saturated.
Yes.
They could do with something that's gonna make them profit and utilize less staff. Because staffing is the takeaway's problem.
Yes, it is. Yes.
So
it's labour intensive.
Yes.
It's labour intensive.
I can give them higher markup, doing less. They're only just packaging it.
Yeah.
They're just reheating it. So as soon as I can show a few of them, as soon as I get 3, I'm good.
Okay. So if we said, I mean, this is the way you, I think, are thinking.
Yeah.
that you are developing a form of sort of like supply chain.
Yeah.
I nearly said something like a franchise in a way, but it's not really a franchise. It's more of you're the production part, and you're going to be trying to sell to
exactly
other.
how sandwiches work.
Yes. Okay. So if we said that that's your big leap of faith, what would we need to do to get there? You know, that's what I want to try and...
At the moment, I've not fleshed out how...
You've not fleshed out?
How... Getting the shops, I think I'll get the shops.
Right.
It's a brotherhood.
But you're the production
I just need to find somebody to introduce me, right? And I'm working on that. So I know I will get the shops. They will be some of them will be hesitant to put it on their online websites and stuff at first. So how I'm thinking I'm going to give them leaflets, right? Because I've found a way to get them slightly cheaper now, and I can design them hopefully because I have no money. Remember, my friend is helping me with my designs. He's quite good and he's quite busy. So I get these leaflets per se because the time I have to wait for the design is done. Because each time I have to be asking my friend to tailor-made them to each shop now, because I have to look at their menu, because I'm kind of giving them a new design, because they all have that same old pizza, crappy long list, 1 million items. So I'm going to redesign it, make it simple, and just take the best bits and just mesh it with mine, because like I have it's like a fusion menu. So I would have like the jerk chicken and the curry mutton, which is the biggest sellers and the most popular dishes. They can go with chips, lots of people, because then I have the knowledge now that people in Sheffield love chips. They don't necessarily want rice, they want chips. So these pizza shops, they have chips. They have these wings, and I will just mix it and make combos with my menu.
Okay, so what we need to do then is we need to...
I've done it with my restaurant, that's why I know it works.
Okay.
I've done it.
So we need to project plan how we're going to make this all work.
Yeah.
We've got to deal with the what you're selling, the product, and the various combinations.
Right.
We need to understand that. We need to understand how these
each shop going to be different.
Each shop is going to sell these things.
And for them to take it, the cost of me now, the real cost I'm seeing, is the promotion, because they're already distributed, but they might not want to spend extra money to do my leaflets. Even if I leave it to them free, I need to get the residents around the area to know that they have Caribbean food.
Yes.
Now, that's the real cost. It's £50 per 1,000 to distribute them. Hopefully they don't put them in the bin.
But you need to be able to say...
£500-600 with Royal Mail. And then the run-on time is crazy, I don't know.
Okay. So what I'd like to try and do is, I mean, the purpose of today is to try and find our leap of faith and design it. So...
Well, yeah, I have 2 meetings today, so I can't really stick to it.
You can do it now.
Yeah, because I'm also going, I don't know, do you know, Callum Island is up and coming now, because I'm doing like so much trying to figure out Sheffield a bit. So now Callum Island is a bit trendy like East End now.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And so I have a meeting with Gardener's Rest Pub.
Right. Yeah, I know it, yeah.
And, did you invest?
You've been there.
I wish I'd invested.
The owner is a bit grumpy, so big.
No, they've changed hands. They've sold it.
Oh, right, yeah.
I wish I'd bought some stocks in them. So, yeah, because they were selling up to £100 a get.
Okay.
All done now. They're crowdfunded.
They did it? Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. No, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, they're crowdfunding. I think it's wrapped up in like November time. Yeah, okay. So now the new people are in place, and I got a meeting.
Okay.
And they're not doing food yet. And they are fine. They're interested to talk.
Yeah.
So I'm going to
Okay, so what are you going to do to set this business up? That's just one conversation, but you want to almost have a structure by which you are going to have a business that's going to grow. That's what I'm searching for. Yeah. So could we, as a foursome, Actually list out the actions that you're going to take to get your different businesses up and running, right? And list out what you're going to do and how it's going. What conversations do you need? What do you need to find out? What actions do you need to take to get your respective businesses up and running? I'm conscious that we haven't had a conversation yet, so we will in a few minutes. Okay. Whilst we're having that conversation, you could maybe list out your actions. Your business's geographical expansion. Your business is around the relationship that you have with your suppliers and all that structure that needs to go. And yours is the B2B sale to different locations across the city. And I don't mean just after one conversation with the Garden's Rest. I mean, you need to set up the structure and the brand. And
well, I was just wanting to do like a pop. Like right now, I need money. I need cash.
Well, in that case,
like I don't want to do the events because they're expensive.
Yes. Okay. So I mean, that's fine.
So I'm trying to get a residency, like in somewhere where.
That's
I just said like I'm a takeaway. I can't have that experience. Give them that experience. So I would move somewhere.
Do they pop up on Union Street?
I wrote to them. They haven't replied to me. I need to follow up. Yeah, I went on their website.
But the concept of the business is a supplier to other takeaways.
Yes.
That's what really basically.
If I get 3 now, next week
exactly. Exactly. Just bear with me 1 minute because I feel that if you can get 3.
If I get 3, I am good.
You can also invest
strategic locations.
Yes, precisely. Yeah. So how are we gonna get those 3?
Because it's like I'm thinking, if I get 3 and they do the same amount of sales that I'm doing, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm paid now.
Yeah. Okay. Let's have a 10 or 15 minutes. Would that be okay? Just to list out the actions that you need to take to make it work. Can you come with me?
Yeah.
I'd just like to talk to you individually, if that's all right.
Do I need my workbook?
No, you don't. Can you manage?
Yeah, sorry. Gosh.
You look very nice today.
Oh, thank you.
Like party-like.
Like going summery, like a bit kind of.
Oh, sorry, I was looking at that room.
Paper. Yeah, that's fine. Straight to the forgot about my book and no, don't worry. I do have paper. Sorry, I'm not awake yet. Oh shit. It's the folder that I forgot.
Everyone like drinks and stuff.
Oh, maybe I have. Do you have some like herbal tea or something like that?
We've got lemon, ginger.
Oh yeah?
Yeah?
Oh, lemon ginger.
So I think there's like peppermint, sort of cinnamon and stuff.
Oh, cinnamon.
Bush.
Wow, you have
Maybe I have a lot.
We should be meeting here all the
I
time.
know.
I thought you were going to say no.
Can I have the one with cinnamon?
I'll have a look. I'll find out what it is. Yeah.
If no lemon and ginger or anything. Thank you.
I know. Well, we'll have to do it.
Can I do mine? Like, I'm gonna go.
Oh, right, okay.
So if you have anything for me to sign.
Yeah, we need
I did that one.
oh, okay, cool. We need some evaluations as well.
Is this the last session?
Yeah.
Is it?
This afternoon, oh, and I was going to ask you, so this afternoon session is titled Female Entrepreneurs, but it's more around like risk-taking, presenting yourself, kind of building a brand, so you're welcome to stay if you want to.
Okay.
It's not really specific for women. So yeah, that would be cool.
I won't be here later, I just
How come this is the last session?
Well, remember last well, the time before last it must have been, we said we wanted to rather, because people are struggling to make the dates, we wanted to merge, so we'd do 2 modules in one day. That's what we did last time. So then it means this one will be the last kind of face-to-face.
But also there were like some optional ones.
Yes,
that
so
the women one.
the women this afternoon is an optional one, but please do stay. And then the last one, which I'll tell everyone about together, is the doing business abroad, which might be good for you. So they're webinars. So there's 3 sessions that you can sign up for. You can do pick or choose. You don't have to do any, or you can just choose one or whatever. So the Spanish partner is going to do doing business in Spain, and then there'll be Lithuania and Finland as well. So the partners from each country will be doing a webinar where everyone can join. So there'll be people, hopefully, from all the other participating countries. And they're just going to speak about kind of, like the key things you need to know to do business in Spain.
Is Netherlands?
No, it's Spain, Finland and Lithuania.
Oh, I can't believe this is the last
I
session.
know. So that is there. There's a bit of information about it, and if you want to join any of them, the times are there as well. Just put your name in the box, and we'll sort out an invitation for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and we don't leave without we giving you an evaluation form and stuff. Don't want them now.
Hi, is this Kane? Hi, Cindy. I'm supposed to come along with you today? I was like 1:30. You both? Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Alright, then I'll see you then. Okay, bye.
Okay, so before you head off, this is the one for today's session. So are you staying all this afternoon? What time do you have to leave?
What time we...
This one will finish around 12, half 12, and then this afternoon starts at 1:30.
Yeah, so I'll have to finish at 12:30 because I'm
Alright, okay. So then I'll just want that one for this morning's session. And then do you remember, oh you already filled it in.
Okay.
So this is something you filled in this before the training at the very start, do you remember? The idea is that this is after the training and you do it again.
Oh.
You've already filled it, but if anything's changed you can just redo it. And then, and yeah, like this back bit as well is to be completed after the training. So I just need those 2.
Oh, so this and this?
Yeah. I'll look at you one in a second. And I'll give you guys this afternoon.
Did you have a lady earlier this morning? Did the lady present?
No.
I saw they said there was going to be 2 different people.
Later.
This afternoon, I think.
Oh.
Sorry, I didn't forget your drinks. It's mango and cinnamon, Natalia, is that alright?
Oh yes, please. Thank you.
And you both said lemon and ginger.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
how are you getting on? Finished? I just wondered whether or not we could share our ideas together, and we'll take them apart next. Okay? So we've had a good session. Okay. I want to spend just 10 minutes approximately on each business now. Okay? And I'm going to ask you to tell everybody how you think it's going to work, whatever your big idea is. I know that we've got 4 different big ideas. Okay? I'll do you last because you haven't progressed quite as far as the others yet, because I've not given you space and time to really think through the stages and steps, right? And what I would like us all to do, if this is all right, is we'll take one person at a time and just explore the stages and steps that we're going to take to realise that big idea. Okay? Now, this is only a concept at the moment. Over the next coming months, we'll start implementing. That's what I'm hoping we'll do. With the catalyst, there's 2 phases to it. The catalyst is built around a number of sessions that you know about, and then we start thinking carefully about the big idea, the big one, right? And then we go into a phase where we are hopefully reasonably constantly in touch. And that actually is the realisation of what we're doing. Now, I don't know how long that will take, because some of these ideas might take months. I know that with the crowdfunding one that I'm involved in now, that was on the catalyst 2 years ago, and it's 2 years later, and we're only just building now. Eventually, it's taken 2 years, but that is the nature of things, and that's the start. The start of today is the start of the big idea. We're going to have a go at certain things. You've started to list out action points now to realise the big idea. Those action points are likely to change, and the last workbook is to try and capture that big idea and the project and the business plan. Okay. So at this point in time, I've asked you to list out the action points, which is the start of the project plan. It might well be that we have to translate that into a business plan as well. Now, the 2 will go hand in hand. You understand the difference between a project plan and a business plan. A project plan is actually what we do and when, let's say, and a business plan is actually to make sure that we understand the financials and structures that are required to make that project work. Okay. In your workbook, there's a whole raft of different action points and considerations that I'd like you to do. But we won't do that today. We'll do that after today. Okay. But I would like to see 4 mega businesses coming out of this. That's what I want. And I'd like to work with you as far as possible to make those work. So. Let's just start with analysing Hugo's business first, because you were in first, and then we'll go around the table. If we do you last, if that's all right. Okay. Just for 10 minutes, let's explore what your big idea actually is and what actions you think we need to take to make it happen. Okay. If that's all right?
Yeah.
Is that all right for everybody? Yeah. Okay. So Hugo.
Well, I think the business to scale, we need to expand our geographical scope, and that will be picking other popular cities like Leeds and Manchester, being the closest to Sheffield. Beyond that, you've got Birmingham, Newcastle, so it can expand from there. But to expand as a location, you do need a certain level of investment, so you can have a presence in that area. So basically, you need to expand. When you come into a new area, you need to get your reach. So whether that's online, social media, flyer campaign, But importantly, it's SEO. So you need to start an SEO campaign as soon as you start a new area to start climbing the ladders of the keywords. But whilst you're waiting for that to climb, you need to spend on AdWords. AdWords is quite expensive, but it will get you traffic to your site and therefore bookings. Before you launch any AdWords or social media campaigns, you need to have some teams in place. So you'd need to have a network of self-employed teams that could take bookings from day one that you launch the campaign. To take on these self-employed teams, you do really need to be on the ground, you do need to be interviewing them, and you do need to be quality checking what they do initially before they can run on their own. I've started to cost out what would be required of an expansion to a new city. So let's take Leeds as an example. I reckon it would require an area manager to be based there full time. They would be recruiting teams, managing bookings that come into the website, managing the team's availability, managing any stock that we provide to the teams, and any sales to office contracts. To reach the Leeds audience, like I said, it would require SEO, AdWords, social media campaigns, and a flyer campaign. Fixed costs for that would be an office, pick a fairly cheap area. Hopefully that would come in at 4k a year. The area manager, I would anticipate I would pay them about 18,000 a year, with scope to increase them if they grow with the business. But I reckon it's going to cost 40k to launch in Leeds. So that's a 17k reach campaign. So SEO, AdWords, social, flyers, I'd spend 17k on. 18k on the area manager, so that's 35. 4k on the office and about 1k on stock, so that's 40 total. Our margin I've worked out in the last 2 years is about 13.3% net. So to make your 40k back in year one, you'd have to make 300k. To make it back in 2 years, you'd have to make 150k per year. To make it back in 3 years, you'd have to make 75k per year. So obviously we want to make it back as soon as possible, the initial 40k investment, so that's attractive to investors. But you can imagine if you've launched in Leeds for 40k 1 year, say you make that back in 1 or 2 years, then you launch in Manchester, same thing, and then you can just keep expanding on that model. That's one way of keeping it all in-house. Obviously that you could franchise it to offset the risk. But I'd probably, before starting a franchise, want to prove the business in 3 markets, which would be Sheffield, Leeds and Manchester.
I think it would be hard to franchise at this stage. Because you almost need a bit more branding now. What does everybody think of that as a plan in outline?
It's just so much money to put somebody on the ground to manage. And I don't know if being so close to Leeds you could do. I don't know.
You don't know.
It just sounds very
scary. Can I just ask you? I picked up on the same. 40k. It's not a lot of money, but it is a lot of money to an individual. If you're talking about a business, that's not a lot of money. But I wonder whether or not the area manager could be you, and you actually sort of like find somebody here to help with the operations. You talked about that before, so you don't need to spend quite as much on at least the
initial outlay. I physically could be the person that's going up to Leeds and doing all the interviews.
That's
and
right.
Have someone managing what we've got
here,
down here.
Because all you're doing is sort of the system here. It's easier to get somebody else to help
things
you.
rolling.
Keep things rolling. And it might be cheaper. You might be able to get somebody part-time or whatever else. To make that happen. Somebody perhaps who can dedicate a bit of time to it, but actually on the other hand doesn't need to rely on their income, their full income.
Do you do Skype interviews or it's always face-to-face?
I tend to do face-to-face, but that is an option to do things from afar, is to do a Skype interview. I find it a lot more personable to meet people in person.
But to kind of do the first stage and to kind
Yeah.
of say, okay, we got 20 people, we're
Yeah.
gonna interview all of them, and from them we're gonna get
Yeah.
7, and those 7 I'm gonna travel to Leeds and meet them.
Yeah.
It's maybe a good way to.
But there will be a problem with not all cleaners will have Skype. Some cleaners don't have smartphones either, so there is an access issue there. But for the cleaners that are modern, have got smartphones and can use Skype, that is a possibility for an initial stage. I've just launched an application form on my website which basically cuts down all the questions that I would have done in a phone interview, and that's working really well, because then from the application form I can decipher who actually gets a call, and then that call basically is just, can you come in for an interview, because I already know they've answered everything that I need to know, how far they're willing to commute, what's their experience, and various other questions that I need to know. Because I was finding before the application form I was calling people up and having to ask those and finding out getting no's to them, because the application form cuts that out. So that's been quite a good process.
Yeah. So the interviews become more of your personal relationship rather than actually the standard things that you need to find out. Yeah, that's
Just
interesting.
assessing if I can work with them and if I'd be comfortable for them to go in front of the customer. And then there's a final stage. If I've got slight reservations at interview stage, I do a test clean and bring them into one of our more established properties, and they're shadowed by one of our existing teams, and then we induct them through that way. But if they're not up to scratch, obviously they don't go forward from the test clean.
All right. So in terms of the project, I think this is really interesting, and I think it could work. It could really work. In terms of the project, though, I think. It's almost like we have to start somewhere, which I think is we're going to have to get the physical entity, the office, whatever it is, established, and then the web presence from that city established. We can probably cover the area manager issue, managing bookings and stock, because you could probably do that.
That'll be me initially, but that could be a part-time staff managing bookings from here. Yeah,
so you're trying to take somebody on to manage the everyday stuff, to take it away from you whilst you're expanding into. So that might even cut down a bit of cost there. And then it's in a way you've actually described the process backwards. Okay. I'm just saying it, but you're saying online social media SEO, which needs to take place just after you've got the office and the people in place that you need.
I think. SEO, because it can take 6 to 12 months to get traction, you kick that off before you were there, because you wouldn't just get on page 1 initially.
I think that's what I'm saying. It's almost like that's longer, slightly longer term, whereas and the AdWords are more immediate.
You could get on within an hour.
But you need the teams in place before you start doing that.
Doing AdWords,
and you need to interview them before you start doing that. And then you need the area manager or the resources before you do that. So it's all interlinked, and I can see it sort of emerging in terms of activities and tasks that need to take place. And if it did cost 40k, and I'd like to see if we could reduce that initially.
Down.
Yeah, but if you did it in certain ways, but where's that going to come from?
I think you mentioned tutorial rates of CrowdCube. That is an option using CrowdCube, because between off 1k investment when I started this, I made 20k in year 1, and then this year in full financial year 2 we're going to make 70k. So that's over 200% increase between year 1 and year 2. So that's fairly proven growth, and I'll say that's just in Sheffield. I'd say Leeds has got areas of higher disposable income, so is Manchester. So I'd say both those markets should work just as well as Sheffield has.
And have you thought of? I mean, you've just made CrowdCube, but what
I could go down a loan route. So, like you said, if I can get that down from 40 to say 20, I could use a startup loans company, and then I'm not giving
I was
away
going to say
equity.
that, because there's some very good soft loans that you know. And if I can say this, I think one of the things that will really sell you and your business is you.
Yeah.
Actually. And if you go to these soft loan places, I can give you information about, the Sheffield finance company, whatever it is. It really wants to support you. in your business, right? And it will give you a soft loan of some sort, and it will be fairly cheap money. Yeah. And if you go down Crowdcube, you'll have to set up a campaign, and that might take time.
Yeah.
My gut feel is explore the local finance. Yeah, and if you drop me a note to remind me, I'll give you the information you need to know where to go, who to contact. I've got it written down somewhere. There's two things I would say. Is first of all, young people like yourself, right? They are particularly keen on, being Sheffield based and a growing business. And if you can show and demonstrate in your books that actually you've shown that growth already, and the way you come across, I think, is really important to these investors, and these people. You come across really well. I have no doubt that they'll see that as really positive. You know what you're doing. You've got your AdWords and you're already the SEO. You're already up there. You know what you're doing. I think they'll probably be very supportive of you. And try and make it happen if in their legal structure and stuff they can. So I'd go for that. Asking for 20-30k upfront loan is not a lot of money.
And then if I improve growth from that, then I'll have to give away far less equity for the
exactly. And that is honestly, that's trivial cash for them. They wouldn't even blink really at that kind of cash. They're more used to $250,000 type stuff. Because that's what they are. They were basically a business finance bank set up and underwritten by, I think it was European money.
Is it set to the Startup Loans Company?
There's various ones actually, but the Startup Loans Company, I think that they have European funding behind them, which is underwritten for every loan. Right? So basically, they give out a loan. You pay a smallish interest rate, probably about 6%, relatively small anyway. And they'll give you the money, and then of course they want to claw it back, but it's all underwritten by European money. And if you default on it, it's soft. They will be asking you for your personal guarantee, but I think in reality they can't necessarily force that. But nonetheless, it's not going to fail. Because it's you. So the risk is actually if something just majorly goes wrong. But if you've planned it out, it should work. How do wealthy people get wealthy?
Wealthy already.
Well, how do people who aren't wealthy get wealthy? Right?
Stick with the
Taking calculated gambles.
Of course they do, and they work very hard on getting people to give them cash when they need it. The loans, don't think of it as a personal loan like that. Think of it, this is going to work as long as I plan it all out and I know it well enough to know that it's going to work. If there's any ambiguity, you want to take that out. If there's any unknowns or issues, you take it all out and go for it. Most of these businessmen who have made it on their own have done the same. They've taken on what might appear to be huge risk, but they've known that it'll work. I heard one businessman recently say to me something like, "Debt's a good thing." He said this, "Debt is a good thing," and I said, "Well, as long as you can pay it off." He said, "Precisely, no problem. Why be frightened of it?" And I didn't really quite agree with the way he said it, I'll be honest. Because I would be, my personal view is, if you're taking on £500,000 worth of debt, as long as you've got the vehicle to pay it off and it's paying you back, don't worry about it.
Right.
That's how I see it, because it's the business that's taking it on, not you. Especially if it's a limited company, which I think you are. It's limited liability. It's limited liability for you. But on the other hand, you don't want to be in a situation where it goes bust. That's why you've got to bottom out and understand exactly what can go wrong and make sure that you know that it won't go wrong, you know,
Yeah.
almost. I suppose with Brexit we can never be 100% sure. But on the other hand, you'll never get anywhere without an ambition, without it making it happen. Anyway, that's that. I like your plan. I think it could work. I think we could make it work as well with the finer points. And in your workbooks, you'll see it's pressing you to think about certain things. You don't need to fill them in now, but I wanted to give you the workbook so you can structure it. And I'd like to try and keep in touch if we can, Hubert, because I think there's opportunities there. You know. Should we have a look at the Penella?
Okay. So to concentrate on the growth for my business, I need to set up very well the structures of how my joint venture with my partners in Colombia will work. How are the terms and conditions of that joint venture, and make sure that structure is well organized for the supply chain to work, for the logistics of it. So I need to structure the contract. I need to finish, so I'm kind of talking by steps of what I need to do. So once that's sorted, which I think we have been working long enough on establishing that, it will be more about writing the contracts and stuff. I need to finish working with the rebranding of my packaging, because this is at the end what they are going to be working with in Colombia, so I need to finish that. I need to sort out who is going to pack it what, who is going to print it, how the sachets are going to work, all those things. And I need to do a lot of work on raising awareness of my brand and growing my brand profile. That I have done a lot of work for that in social media, increasing my digital presence, and making sure that you know, people can find me, to be able for me to as well go and find new customers. So I structure it as the joint venture for me will work to tackle the retail and side of the business, and the distributors, and the food industry. So we have I have put like 3 main customers, if you like, but they are all B2B. Also, I have some funding from the Department of International Trade, so it's working all this out to be able to set up a strategy of how am I going to use the funding to materialize those steps that I just talked about, and just develop like the project plan, including that funding to be able to make it work.
So, going to the real nub of this, it feels to me you've got all that rebranding stuff to do, which is going to be absolutely essential to sell to your particular retail side, your customers. And then you're going to have to work on the contract with your supplier.
Yeah.
And then you might need almost like a design of a system to make sure that you've got the pro forma part of the business understood, so you know how invoices will come and go, really.
Yeah.
How they're going to come in, and how you can reduce your risk when you are, you know, if a client, one of your retail side comes in with, you know, a £40,000 worth of stuff. They say, okay, I want £40,000 worth of that, right? How do you fund it? Because your supplier will need to be sending it out, and of course they might need money. You know?
But they are the ones who are going to fund it.
Okay.
They are the ones
that has to be built into the contract
Yeah.
then. So we need to get the contract sorted out, and whether or not we need a structure. You know, if somebody orders you £40,000, do you get the £40,000 cash before you ask them to do it, to start supplying, you know, or is there some other structure, you know? How is all that going to work?
Well, the idea I have in my head is that I have the order. They in Colombia put the money, because that's why the partnership is, because I don't have the money to say, go and do it. They do it, and the customer will pay, normally work 50 when they order and 50% when they order 50% afterwards. So because of international transactions, I would think that they will pay directly to Colombia, because there's no point to send that money here.
Okay, so you're a sales agent?
Basically, but it's my brand. But because I owe the money to them, I'm not buying and then selling.
Okay. Okay, that system, I mean, I was under the impression you were going to be buying the panella.
I can't, I don't have the money to do
No,
that.
sorry, your supplier will be sending the panella, but your client
Will pay me.
will be paying you and you pay them. But what you're saying is that you're a sales agent only, and the retail side will pay directly to your supplier.
Well, I could say that they pay me.
Okay.
But then how much money do you lose in the currency conversion?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and tax and VAT and whatever else you need to think about, because that could be a killer. But that is actually what you need to bottom out. How does that work?
Yeah.
And if you want me to, I will introduce you to this guy called Glyn.
Yeah.
Who if you went and visit him just for an hour or two, will explain his structure and how he will work, if he's willing. I mean, I can't guarantee he will be, but I'm pretty sure I'll be fine with that.
And how much will he charge me?
Nothing.
Yeah?
I'll do it for free, but you'll have to go down to see it,
Okay.
which is
Where
in
it?
Shropshire.
Where is that?
It's sort of
Yeah, well,
near Wrexham, near Wales.
Oh, I'll be in Wales next week, all the week.
Oh right, okay, so you can pop in and see him, you know, if he's got time. You know.
Oh yes, that would be
You know,
great.
Or I could ask his son to see you, because he knows the business too.
That would be great.
Because then he'll tell you how they've structured their business, and it sounds to me very similar, because they sort of sit in a supply chain between supplier and, you know, and they do it internationally. And I'm not sure exactly how it would work with Colombia precisely, but I'm sure there'll be some
we could
insights.
replicate them all, because that worries me a lot, that
Yes.
I will be losing lots of money
I think
in transactions.
it's very difficult to set up well, and I mean, I've known them for 5 years or something like that, or more, and they've been doing quite well out of it. So in a way, I think there's a learning area there.
What do they sell?
Roofing products. It's a completely different market,
It doesn't
but the
matter,
structure is the
the
same. Yeah. Or similar, or it could be similar, I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
Can we move on to the next business as well, because I'm pressing for time a little bit. So, what's your big idea?
Well, the big idea to get me some cash, get my cash flowing.
That's very honest.
Yeah. Is to try to form some association to infiltrate the pizza takeaways, and to pretty much start my business-to-business distribution through these takeaways. Hoping that I could get some sort of association to form, to get me into that network.
Yes, so you need some form of relationship with
yeah.
the sales agent in a way.
Yeah. So that's what I'm working on now.
Okay.
To try to get into that network.
So what does that mean? What do we need to do to make that happen, do you think?
I just need to tap into my network, social network, to find some friends who are willing to go speak to their friends.
Okay, so you're not going to approach them directly, you're relying on other people to approach them.
I'm getting a bit desperate, so maybe do some cold calling, but I don't know. I'll try that.
Yeah.
But I'm relying on my friend network.
Yeah, I can't help feeling that cold calling will go nowhere. You know what cold calling
I've been
is like.
stalking them already. I've
Yeah.
not actually got it. Yes.
I don't know. It's so hard work, and
Yeah.
I think networking
Yeah.
and putting your name about that you are the iconic person to work with,
Right,
so
yeah.
they see you. Oh wow, this is really important for me. You know, I've got to get in with.
Yeah, I'm saying a lot of them are really struggling. I know that.
Yeah.
I've heard the story. I've seen the ads on the sell the shops. Everybody want to sell the shops. They want to sell it, but there's so much money invested in it. They can't just give it away.
No,
So lots of
they're
them
going to pay off their debts or whatever else.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
Nothing under 30,000 for these little shops. It doesn't look like much looking at it, but they're not going for less than 30,000. So they're not doing well, but they're desperately holding on. So maybe cold calling might work. If you can give them some ray of hope somewhere, that I can give you, you know, if you do this, I could give you maybe £800 more a week, or I don't know, more at least.
Okay.
So
you've got the idea that you're going to be going into these other shops for them to be your, in effect, your sales agents.
yeah,
And-
distribution channels.
Yeah. And do you think there needs to be some form of structure or agreement that we need to put into place to make that happen?
No.
Or is it just going to be an ad hoc thing?
It would be more informal. There's no way I can tie the next year. I won't waste my time. I would, because to get in initially for
Initially.
the next, couple of months, until it gains traction, before I can say you could only sell my brand, blah blah blah. Okay.
No, you
Then
can't do that.
at the
Yeah.
moment, in the foreseeable short term, next 6 months or so, I will just do consignment. I mean, that would what I would make. The only contract I could have is that. Well, for now, for the next, say, 3 months, I will give it to you on a consignment basis. But after that, until you do X amount of business, then you need to pay on cash on delivery kind of thing.
So there's
But
two.
to get my foot in, I have to give it to
Yeah,
you.
fair enough. Okay. So, what is going to attract them to you?
The business is not doing well. The business is failing.
Yeah.
The market is highly saturated, it's not good. Summertime is also not a good time.
We talked some time ago about
For
branding it around you, branding this food around you.
Yeah, that's a different side.
Yeah.
I need cash now.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
So you.
This is the way to get the cash now. It's like I'm opening a new shop, but I'm not physically owning the shop.
Okay.
But the food will sell because I know I've proven it that it will sell.
Do you think the branding side would be the a simultaneous thing that you would try?
Yes, because I'm actually working on that already. Like, and I'm getting help, like, because I don't have any money. I'm building the website myself, getting help from here, there, and everywhere, and doing all the SEOs myself and everything. So I'm working on that. I don't know how quick that's gonna be. It can be
Hugo's
quick.
your man.
Yeah, it's like, it could pick up quite quickly, or it works okay. But I'm not going to see the cash straight away.
Sure. No, but I understand that.
But if I go to the shops,
Yeah.
I get lucky and it will sell, I will have cash straight away.
Okay. So you've got a short-term thing that you're going to do,
Like I have to get
and then
the
you've
shops.
got a longer-term
Yeah.
thing to strengthen your position.
I'm buying up, like, with the events, like the food street.
No, I
I'm
understand.
thinking like pop-up. I'm thinking of with my own events.
Yeah.
So, like the pop-up shops, I maybe do pop-up events.
Could you project
Like,
manage this? Could you list out everything that you're going to do,
Yeah.
and in your workbook, right? So that we've got a certain clarity. Although I know that there are unknowns. It might be that if there are unknowns, you need to find out. If you know what you need to find out, then it's easy. Then you just find it out. But often there are unknowns about what you need to find out as well.
Yeah, that's right. So I need to because I'm just learning what the various are.
Sure.
But I'm just going where I know I'm guaranteed cash. I'm going there first.
Exactly. Yeah, because you've got a short-term problem or issue to do.
Yeah. Right, because I need working capital to do the other stuff.
Yes, I understand that, but you haven't got that.
Yeah.
But if you could prove the basic model
Right.
with a relationship with 2 or 3,
Right. That's it.
then I think you are much
Yeah.
more in a situation where you can make investment,
Yeah.
you know, or get investment
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
for
So
expansion.
that's why I'm putting all my efforts this week into that.
Yeah, okay.
Doing just that.
So the next stage will be to write that up and just consolidate it into a project plan and or business plan, which is in the workbook.
Yeah.
Yeah? Sounds exciting, actually. And your product is very good.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, again, a little bit like I mentioned to you, if you brand yourself around you,
Yeah.
I think you've got loads going for you. You know?
Yeah. Well, I need cash first.
I know that.
No, it's like
You keep telling me.
you know your confidence and the whole thing. You need money behind you.
Yeah,
Like,
you
my
do,
staff
you do.
need to be paid.
Yes, you do.
So I kind of.
And that's why I'm saying
I need to do this now.
yes, absolutely.
So-
My view would be that
I can't
actually,
relax until I know that.
I know. But I still would maintain that if you could get just 2 or 3 established
Yeah.
relationships, then you'll be in a powerful position to put in for
Yeah.
cash to make the business
If
grow.
I have that, I don't even need that much.
Maybe not.
No,
Maybe
I
not.
don't need to. I could take my time to grow organically
Okay.
and wait.
And it also depends on what you're after. I mean, if you're after a multi-million-pound business,
No.
Then,
The thing is,
yeah, it's
okay,
gonna take
in
some
the
time.
long term, because will take time, and this will generate cash if I can crack this properly, and I'm not worried. But there's another product within this food, which is like a pasty, like Caribbean patties, is what I used to do that business. But same as I couldn't figure out this logistic thing.
yeah.
Right, and I was at the same place, but I couldn't figure out how to make it work. I've not shelved it
No.
because I have a good brand and I had a relationship with one of the big suppliers, right? And they just pop up on my Facebook again this weekend and saying, "Oh, how's your shop doing? We want to supply you." You know, I'm not selling it because I really am passionate about that product and it has to be the highest quality. It
Absolutely.
sells in Tesco's for like 75 pence. I sell one for £3. So
Okay, so I mean, yeah, it's very interesting, and we can
yeah,
press those buttons.
I need cash.
Yeah. Oh,
Say that again.
yeah.
We
Pardon.
didn't get that. We all need cash.
Yeah.
No, but
Cash is king. Of course.
no. When I did the events, it was cash. It's a cash business until the rain came.
You know, you were talking about the digital. You know, Google just opened a Google Garage.
I've been. I'm working with them.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Can we just have a quick look at your prospective business and share what you're doing and what you're going to do
Yeah.
with the group, because we didn't have a fuller conversation about what that actually is before.
Yeah. So on my list, I've got a few action points, but I think it's all based around growing my online presence and interacting with my customers, and so in order to do that, it would mean evaluating this Darwin matrix and setting up a website, which I've still not yet done, which is quite bad. Look at experimenting with videos, look at doing a vlog. That was as a consequence because John said it's selling me, and it's almost like rebranding, or not rebranding, selling. What am I trying to say? So it's kind of bottling up me, and how do we do that?
Can you give me the story of you doing that presentation last week that you won that competition?
Oh yeah.
Just
So-
tell us about that.
Okay, so I was saying to John, that I took part in Sheffield Soup last Thursday, and there were a few of her pictures, and when it got to mine, like the microphone had stopped working and stuff, and I was just me, and like people were laughing at just at me, and it was like quite funny looking back now, and people, I think they just liked me and they voted for me and I won. So it was quite good, and John's like,
how do we bottle up you? That is the question. So I think I do need to do like regular vlogs. It's like Mrs. Bean. Honestly, like doing regular vlogs or like I do actually have a YouTube channel, but it's not very active at the minute. Doing some using whether that I need some sort of animations to get the stories online a bit more. Using them videos on social media, basically digitalizing the business because, like John said, selling hard copies of books is a bit old-fashioned.
Yeah.
So there's 2 billion people connected to the internet.
I know.
What a market!
Absolutely.
You know, you're never going to get 2 billion books published, are you?
Yeah.
And distributed.
My friend told me she bought this. Because I'm doing this website thing, and she's doing this. I don't know, like packages where it's like automated marketing and promotions, and she spends like cheap money, $50, and she get like she has this like, information blog, no website, and she kind of automates the marketing where she giving like a free ebook, but she bought that from some other thing, some other place, where she plugs into her website, and it automatically, when you go on, oh, you can have a free ebook.
Landing page sort of thing.
There's loads of them. I don't know which one.
Yeah.
I'm meant to sit down and she explain how it all works. I'm a bit fascinated with it. But like they're giving away free books, free tips, free that, free.
Yeah.
And it's just she doesn't even do it. She schedules them to just pop up on everywhere.
You see, so far
and it's gaining
I've
traction.
been a bit reluctant at putting myself out there. But John seems to think it's me that's going to sell. So if people buy into me, then they'll buy into the brand, therefore the books as well. So it's how do I translate to my audience?
No, but there's ways to get it out there. Like you don't have to sit down. Based on what my friend is saying to me, you don't have to sit down and write all this content yourself. There's relevant stuff that's going to get people visiting your site. And it's cheap to buy.
Yes, that's why I was asking you to look at the Darwin Matrix, because the Darwin Matrix allows you to put some content in, and then somebody else to put content that's related
and it's free to buy, and it's free to buy.
And then suddenly you've got sort of like people's reactions to your content, and it spirals.
They're seeing
like
what
this,
you have, and
whereas it becomes like a dynamic book rather than a flat book, just one way, But that's, I'm not saying
because
that
you
is the
have to
answer.
get people to visit to see. Like you're gonna have to, like on the street, you have to footfall, so you have to have like a virtual footfall. So you need other things to attract them. That's how things go viral.
Yes. Yeah.
That's how people get. It's not like I have to have so many friends for them to go viral. You know, like I'm just noticing it now, like on Facebook and stuff. Like you go on Facebook and you see all these things popping up at you.
Yeah.
And you go on some people's site, and if you look under their name, it's not them who's posting, it's the computer who's posting these irrelevant stuff like Business Insider. They're coming up with different content, but they're not actually writing it.
Okay, I mean,
and then we click on them.
She's lost me.
No. but no, I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
My view is.
But that's how you work.
But that's why you're gonna look at the Darwin Matrix.
Yeah.
To see whether or not that is a platform upon which we can develop your business, and that's driving it in a way.
Yeah.
So one of the action points you're going to take is to evaluate whether or not that is actually a feasible option. I think pretty sure that John Rainford will be happy for you to use that platform free of charge for at least a while, 6 months or maybe longer, in order for you to establish whether or not it's actually an appropriate thing to do.
Have you written it? You've written like loads of stuff.
She's written books, and she needs to get them out into the world.
Have you given them away free?
I have, yeah.
Actual hard copies?
Yeah, as well as
e-books.
Yeah.
Because I think there's places you can sell them for cheap. Like nearly free, but you get traction.
Oh, do you mean digitally?
Yeah. Because like my friend, I said she's buying this package with loads of stuff and then there are 3 ebooks in it. So somebody must have rigged that and sold it to them.
Anyway, I mean, that's what you're going to do. Can you list out the action points that you're going to take in the next few weeks, the sort of action points, and get it into the workbook?
Okay.
Okay, so that we can actually see them. And I'd like to be seeing the workbook at some future stage to see where we're getting to. But as I say, I want 4 fantastically successful businesses in 18 months' time. But that starts now.
Yeah.
You know. Okay, should we take a break? Okay.
For lunch? Or?
I would have thought so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, it's 10:12 now. And then after lunch, Marina's going to take over, actually.
She is. And you 3 are staying this afternoon, yeah? So can I just give you this for this module? The evaluation for this module. You've already done this. Before you go, that's quick.
Is Mary not coming today?
No, she can't come today. So I was saying we want to do a catch up on a second option. So if you wanted to do this afternoon's module at a later date, we can invite you to that as well, Sandy.
Okay.
And then, yeah, over lunch, if you want to sign up for the webinar, which is the last module, so doing business in the different countries, then just pop your name on this list. So I'll leave it there. Thank you. Cool.
Do we do business in different countries in English or?
Yeah, it'll be in English. It's a webinar, but they'll do it in English. And so each of the partners from Spain, Lithuania and Finland are presenting their country, but it will be delivered in English. Yeah. So you can it's an optional module, so it's up to you if you want to do them or not. And the idea is just to give you an introduction to how you might start to trade in
I'm not sure how much
countries.
interaction we'll have in these sessions, but I would like to keep in touch and just see how it all works for you.
I'll send you an email asking about them soft loan options.
Yeah. Do you know my email address?
Yeah, I think it's put down in the previous.
She just turned up.